Mm, this video, guys, is kind of, I'm going to go back, way back to the beginning when I started, okay? Which I had no clue ever that I was going to do this. Ever, ever, ever. When I first started, excuse me, I said over and over, no different than any of you, just like you guys, just like you, okay? Believed, we all believed the same. We all had the same, you know, teaching, learning, the foundation. It's your foundation belief, you know? And I remember watching YouTube videos and I'd follow somebody and until all of a sudden I'd hear him say something that I was like, well, what? Wait, stop. I don't believe that, you know? Because I didn't check what their foundation beliefs were before I started watching them. So that's why I said always find what the foundation beliefs are, you know? I, like everybody, okay? Everybody believed, still that we have our 7 years of tribulation, um, the first, 3.5 years, all that's going to happen. Then the last 3.5 years, all that's going to happen. And um, believed in a pre trib, as in, I knew that we would go before the wrath, before the wrath of God would come. And same thing. When I had always, even when I was little, okay, when I was little, I remember when my mother would tell me, my mother's heart was just so, oh, I can't, it was just so good. It was so good. Um, and bless her heart, she had 9 kids. I mean, this poor thing just could, I mean, all she wanted to do is take a nap during the day. That's all she wanted to do is take a nap. It's so simple and so easy, you know. And then she got pregnant with me when she had me right before she turned 43. I was the oops baby. My mom was 42 and my dad was 49. And I have older brothers and sisters, and um, grew up in a normal, wonderful, full house, right? Uh, I have 77 nieces and nephews and just beautiful, wonderful family, you know. Um, we have some Catholics in there. They turned by marriage. Um, my oldest brother, who's 75, was a Methodist minister. Okay, um, but my one brother was Jehovah's Witness. Right? I've been working on him though. I almost got him. Comes over a couple times a week, and we go, and we're right there. But some that are, spiritual but not religious. Um, some and that's their age, I think, where they're at in their age. Um, I mean, but basically everyone believes in the Lord, and just good hearts all the way around. I will tell you this, and again, this is the umbrella from. It's a generational blessing, is what it is. It's an umbrella, and it was from my mother and my mother's side. Okay, is what it was. Um, because my mother, the Lord only gives you what you can handle. And my mother could never take anything happening to any of her children or grandchildren if she, while she was here. So we always knew that was our umbrella. I mean, no, of all these kids too, we all played sports. We all, you know, um, just all had to be home by the time the streetlights came on, at night. I mean, just that same 5 o'clock dinner and, um, but when I was little, I remember my mother saying, those who have a pure heart will see the face of God. And I'd say, oh, Mom, you for sure will see God. She'd say, I don't know, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm that good. I said, Mom, if anybody's going to see his face, it's going to be yours. She'd say, oh, but I just got so mad. She goes, at my first husband, okay, my kid's dad, my first husband, she'd say, oh, because he makes me cuss. I get so mad at him. She said, he's the one that made me cuss, and I get so mad at him over that. And I just, she was just so funny. I mean, she didn't cuss bad. I mean, she'd say, the sly ones, right? But I mean, she just, and from the time I was little, I'd always say, please let me have a pure heart so I can see the face of God. That's all I wanted to see. I used to always say, when I die, I want on my headstone, she was so nice. She was so nice. So that way, when people would walk through the cemetery and look at headstones, they'd say, oh, look, she was so nice. Because what it said. I've always tried to be so nice to people. It wasn't hard. It was just sometimes that was not always good for me, because sometimes you can't see the bad in them. But I would refuse. I refused to believe in the bad. I would always see the good. And I just believe that people, if that comes from somewhere, okay? When people are mean and they are anxious, are disrespectful, are just sour to others, it comes from some hurt. It comes from a place of hurt down underneath. And I just always thought, well, they received the right kind of love and support and friendship, we can break through that. I just would never give up, And it was so funny because my family would always say, oh, Maribeth, God love you. You just got to quit bringing them homeless people home. And they all worried that they would steal from me or, whatever. And I'd say, oh, I don't even think of that. I'd say, you know what? I'll worry about it if it ever happens. But until it happens, this is the way it's going to be. I'm going to trust them. I'm going to trust them until they give me a reason not to trust them. And people could not understand why I did the things that I did. They just didn't understand it. And it ended up, look, the two people that stole from me was the two people closest to me, my best friend and my husband, right? My second husband. So, I mean, everything. Millions of dollars, right? So, two people closest to me. How about that one? But I walked from the time I was young all the way up. I just never, I just always knew I was under that umbrella, I just knew that God had my back. I did. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew it. I did. And, I mean, I was not perfect, just like every other teenager. Go with your friends and go to parties but there's always something that kept me from doing what they did. I mean, I'm along, but I mean, some of you got those friends that they just jump right on in. And you always have that paranoid one, that was me. Paranoid one, that's me. That was me. Okay. But now I understand what insecurity is. I just thought people were shy. They were shy. They just were not going. And I just would talk to everybody. Everybody from the school janitors to the work, the lunch ladies behind the thing. I was that kid that talk to them all. And even in all my jobs, I always made sure that when I took the mail down, that in the basement, the little mail lady down the basement, nobody paid attention to those people. Well, shoot, I knew about her kids. I knew how old they were. I knew what they did. I knew how long she'd been married. I knew all about them. The microfilm lady, all of them, because I cared. Not everybody has that. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but I'm just trying to let you understand me, okay? And at times, I had a short fuse. You know, I was the kind that I hate confrontation. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate confrontation. And I let things slide. I just let them slide off of me. Oh, I know, but it's not worrying enough. I know, just let it go, let it go, let it go. And I would just forgive and forget. And just go on, forgive, forget. Never could carry a grudge, ever. Um, but there is a lot of people, you look at back and you see friends and that now that's insecurity is what it is. You know, that deep insecurity of everything, okay? And I remember even back then, 13, 12, 13, 14, giving them pep talks, giving them pep talks. And I could not stand anybody being mean to anybody then. I couldn't stand it. But a lot of my friends were Catholic or Lutheran, um, but they went because they had to. Or most of my Catholic friends, they would go because they had to go. It was just, you had to go. Now, my very best friend, she was Lutheran. They went every Sunday to and everything. She doesn't know one thing that's in that. She has no clue. She has no clue what's in that Bible. That's what I talked about, having that Sunday school teaching. The teaching that you learn in Sunday school and when you're young, the basics, okay? How many still stand in that? They go every week and they listen and they listen and they listen and they listen, okay? But they still stand in that Sunday school teaching. The Bible is meant for every age, okay? And there's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. It grows with you. It's for somebody at 95 and somebody at 5, okay? But you have to grow, okay? You can't just stand in that, and that is the problem. So many people stand in that, okay? Now, so there's a lot too that when they become Christians, okay, they believe as we do, they get that teaching and listen to that teaching like we do. We did and we do. And they stay right there. Okay? They search and they read for everything that, they're keeping up and they're watching and they're keeping up, but they're reading, but they're not growing. They're staying right at that level. The layers are not being unpeeled for them. Okay? Now, all of us do that. We have done it. We have done it. We have done it because it's a safe place. It's a secure place. It's a place where when you're there, you think, it's your righteous place. Let's just say that. If that even makes any sense, okay? So, as as we grow in Christ, okay, the depth of our layers gets deeper, okay, gets wider, gets stronger. It just gets, whew, okay. He opens our eyes, he opens our ears, he illuminates his word. But if you do not ask for it, he will not give it to you. If you do not ask for divine sight, divine hearing, divine wisdom, divine understanding, and divine knowledge of everything Him, heaven, everything, He will let you just stand in His Word. And that's not that it's a bad thing, it's a good thing, but I mean, you will stay right there, okay? And He will never let that illumination that you seek happen, okay? He gives us what we ask for. If you're not asking for it, you're not getting it, okay? You're not growing. You're not growing. I, you know, why do bad things happen to good people? It's $1 million question. Why do all those bad things happen to me? I don't understand it, you know. I'm so good, you know, because we all think we're so good. But I mean, you know what I'm talking about. And then those stinky ones, you know, well, nothing ever happens to them. Nothing. But, you know, my friends, my family, everybody, they were like, if you don't write a book, I'm going to have to write it because it's just too funny. Because every day, you know, from the time I'd open my eyes and put my feet on the floor, I'd walk to go get my coffee, and this was, you know, before I lost everything, and I'd look outside, and I had a huge built-in swimming pool because I swam in it for my back because I'm crippled, right? And there's that hose that's supposed to clean it. It's all detached, and it's spraying water like, oh my god! I mean, everywhere. It's just like going like this. I pass the basement. I've got this much water in my basement. Okay. I look outside. My car's gone. I mean, these things were like every day. I was like, well, I don't understand it. I don't understand this. You know? What? I don't understand it. Then you have the people who nothing bad ever happens to them. And then, you know, not that they're bad people. They're not. They just don't go out of their way for anybody. And they probably, you know, not putting water on you if you're on fire. You know, it's the kind today that would, instead of stepping in and breaking up a fight, they're the ones that film it and put it on YouTube. Okay, it's them. And then, you know, the children the same way. Everything just goes, well, you know what? Don't ever envy them, because you know what it is? Satan has Satan has their sight on the world, okay? And he supplies them with everything they need. He's never going to let them fall, okay? They're always right here, and this is where it stays. Everything is met. They never fall. Nothing ever. Satan will not. He'll make sure that they always have enough money. They have enough of this, enough of that, enough of this. So therefore, when do people turn and seek God? Trauma, tragedy, disaster. You know, it's all through the trials and the traumas and the testing, and so he keeps them just perfectly satisfied. So they never have they never have that opportunity to turn to the Lord. Um, so don't ever envy them, because they're completely blinded, completely blinded, and they're the ones that are going to be absolutely shocked when everything happens. Okay, because their money can't do anything. So I told you the Lord marks his of birth. He does, and not all are the Lord's. They're not. Not all are, and we know now it's the DNA. But he is going to, in our life, if we start walking in a way that is not in his game plan, okay, if we start um, getting a little too big for our britches, because that's really what it is, um, hmm, I'm gonna, okay, well, yeah, he's gonna peel us like an onion, and that's what happens. It's our Satan is the ruler of this world. We know that. Okay? We know that. He knows who belongs to the Lord and who doesn't. He's not going to go after the ones that are his. Why? He's going to come after us every day, all day long. Okay? When if we are not um, the Lord makes it, okay, and it's out of love, his love for us, right? He will make it that we have to go to him, okay, that we have to turn to him for everything, all right, and he will do that or allow that to manifest in whatever way he has to make it happen. Now, it's not with everybody. I'm not saying that you know that people who have been blessed with wealth that and have had no uh, big trials or testing, that they've just not saying that they're not the Lord's either, because the Lord said that I've got a special purpose for them too. So not all. I mean, there are some who have not gone through that heavy wilderness time, okay, and that heavy testing. But most all of mine uh, have. But again, many haven't, and but I've got a special plan for that. There's a reason for that. So don't think that just because you're not, poor or whatever, that you're not. No, 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 no. He just uses them to get us where he needs us to be. Okay, and if we are married to someone who is not in the Lord as we are, right? Um, the enemy uses that, to pull us in more toward in the world because that's where they are. And when you have a spouse, and not saying that, I mean, it could be a wonderful person, but their relationship with the Lord is not there. Um, they have just different beliefs, different uh, feelings, different whatever, what I'm talking about, whatever it is. Uh, what happens is it becomes a tug of war, especially before you get to the point where you stand in that concrete footing, and you have a voice, before you get really strong in it. And because you love your husband, your family, and you're trying to make him happy, because when you got that unhappy household, that's really hard. So a lot of times, especially women, not saying this can't be men, but especially women, we tend to uh, just, well, let's just make me happy, okay? So sometimes you start living in their world, you know, and with all the best intentions, right? But as time goes, um, you're looking that way, and your time with the Lord gets less and less and less. And when it's less and less and less, it weakens, and so you become more involved in that world, and it starts to look very pretty, and um, your attention is totally on that instead of him. Okay? That's what happens. You know, you think those things are, are, are important in your life. All done it. All done it. Well, more steps you take that way, bigger spanking you're going to get. Because his are his. And so when you're in that world, you have open doors. There's no way you cannot have open doors, okay? That's what happens. Get these open doors. And when those doors are open, that is when the enemy can come into your life and start messing with your life. All right? So, and the Lord will allow it. Okay? He will allow it because he knows we're gonna fall on our butt. Okay? He knows at some point there's gonna be a breaking point there. Okay? And whatever that's gonna be, but there's gonna be some fireworks. And and on that day that we are going to go down and we are going to turn to him, okay, and we are going to cry and plead and do everything that he's been waiting for us to do. He knew it was coming, and sometimes he has to use that to get us where he needs us to be, okay, and he strips us down like an onion, totally, completely. And that's so we can be emptied. And then he can put us back together to make that warrior in him that he needs. Okay? And this is why you can't be in that world in this one. Okay? Because there's too many, it's like shiny bubbles, it grabs you, it gets you just like that. It does. And the Lord says that what happens is we forget. We start to forget. That's what happens. So open doors. Open doors. This is how the enemy gets right into our life. Okay? From the beginning, way back, Satan and our Father in heaven, there's an agreement. There's an agreement. Okay? Well, of course you know that. You know that. There has to be. Because Satan was given a title. He was called a prince, a prince of the air, or the prince of the air, and he called him the ruler of this world. The Lord, nothing can happen unless God the Father allows it. Nothing can happen. Okay, so my point to all this is, where I'm getting is that people, when things happen bad, people say, why did God do that? Why did God take them? Why did God allow this to happen? Why did God allow me? Why did God? How could a good God do this? And this turns people away from God. You know that. It turns people away from God. Because how can a good God do that? How can God do that? We've said it, they've said it, everybody said it. Okay. God didn't cause that. He allowed it, though. He had to allow it, okay? Because sometimes God is a true and faithful God, right? But he will always, after he spanks us, he will always then hold us and love us, okay? It's like any good parent does. They're going to spank us, but then they say, come here. Give us a big old hug and say, okay, now, I had to do that for your own good. I had to do it. I didn't want to do that. I did not want to allow that spanking to take place, but it was for your own good. That's what he does, okay? You understand, we're all children. We're all small children. Small, small children to him. We really are. Small children. So, when we do things, when we do things in our life, and we do not close those doors, they get bigger. They get bigger, and they get bigger. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a lie here and a lie there, if it's something. Everybody does it every day, all day long. Stuff. Okay? And that's why I say when you do something, immediately ask for forgiveness. The Lord says, don't give him time to get up here and start accusing you. The minute you do it, you know you do it. Ask for forgiveness, get it done. Bam, it's done. But see, they don't. When we don't, the enemy goes up in front of the courts, in front of the Father. We know this from Job. You know, the Lord, I mean, Satan, taunted God to a point where he said, he's proven a point. When God had said to him, well, what about my faithful servant Job? He's good, and we all know that story. But it's when Satan said, well, yeah, because you give him everything, take it all away and see what happens. But in our life, there are rules, there are guidelines, there is procedures, there's agreements, okay? And when we do something, okay, because Satan is very, very smart. Very, very smart, right? He just waits. But the minute boy takes it up, and if we don't know it or do anything, gets those cracks in those doors, right? Doors get bigger and bigger and bigger. He gets his foot in there, okay? Now, he don't have to use well, first, then go back before I get to that. When we do, then he goes up and he accuses us, and he says, okay, per chapter 5, line 7, blah 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 blah, I get to blah 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 blah. See? And our Father, he okay, it's allowed. He has to allow it. He has to allow what the enemy can do, how much he can do, and how long he can do it. Okay? You walk around with all these open doors. All these open doors. And the enemy, he picks that right exact time to decide to come in and play with us. That's what he does. Okay? And this is how our life can just be going so great. Just great. And you've how many times you say that? Oh, things couldn't be better. I mean, everything is just going so good. And bam. Just rug, just totally flopped out. Because that's when he picks the time to do it. Now, you keep walking through, and a little bit of this you don't think God sees, or a little bit of that, or a little bit of this. You don't close those doors. That enemy can come in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's what he does. That's exactly what he does. This is why we talked about the tools last year, okay? And how to use those tools. Remember, it's what we say, okay? And it's how we act too. It's that making sure that we don't jump into that gossip. Make sure that we don't, it's cleansing our heart, making sure there's no yuck laying there, okay? have to understand that the enemy is granted, okay, entrance when we do things that are against the Lord and against his ways, his commandments, his laws, and against his heart, okay? And if you don't know to close those doors, right? Enemy has just open access. It's like every day, okay? I told you, the enemy wants to get us festering, okay? Wants to get us festering. So, let's say you go on your way to work, you go to the same gas station every day to get a cup of coffee. Well, say you wake up, and just just agitated, or we all have those. But then, gonna make sure that that morning, when you're going to get that coffee, the person that you least like in this world, maybe from high school, grade school, I don't know, I'm gonna make sure that person is there. Okay? What happens after you get in there? We all have done that. It's like, of all people, I gotta see this. Oh my gosh, and they just ruin your day. You know what I'm talking about. Well, you gotta make sure they're there, right? You gotta make sure they're there. What happens when you get in the car? That whole scene, that whole time starts playing back in your mind. You start festering. It's with you all day. It's with you all day. You start festering. You're talking to yourself in the car. See, you have to understand, this is what the enemy does. He whispers in our ears. You know how we get upset over things that we don't even know where it came from? Why am I even thinking about that today? And this leads to this, this leads to this, this leads to this, this leads to this, because all those memories, and before you know, you got a full-blown war going on up here, and he gets us festering. He gets us festering, because if he can get us, see, the enemy cannot read your thoughts, okay? He cannot read, he's not omnipresent, and he cannot read your thoughts, but he knows us. He knows us so well because he's watched us every day of our life. He knows exactly what makes us tick. He knows our buttons to push. He knows our trigger points. He knows them all. And every day he makes sure that he sets these things in motion to get those going. Okay? You have to know this. You have to know you're being set up every single day. It's the minefield. It's the minefield every day that you got to get through. So, because what happens is he wants you to get that festering going, because then you're talking to yourself, because I do. I'm like, I just can't even believe that. And then I'm like reliving, it could have been 20 years ago, but I'm still reliving the whole play out in my head again, right? And I'm talking to them like they're really here, like what I'm going to say to them. You know how you do that? You go through and like, I'm going to just tell them this. Who are you talking to? Nobody, because nobody's here. But it's got me festering. Now, it's got me verbally. Then I go get home or get to work, and I'm just, it's coming out, right? It's manifesting out. Now I put this into action. Okay, now I'm talking about it. I'm slandering. I'm gossiping. I'm bringing all this crap up, and I'm speaking bad about this person who, was 25 years ago, or what, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, this is what we do. This is what he wants us to do. Every day he wants us to do this. Okay? So, you have to know that, and you have to know the tools. You have to use your tools every day to get that down. Because a lot of times, I'm talking about things from the past, but people, this is also current things. This is how people's mind starts to start thinking them thoughts, and then they make the phone calls, okay? Then they get in the confrontations, and then they start, verbalizing and threats and this is where all that goes, it just goes. You got to stop it. As soon as that festering starts, you got to put it away. You got to get it out. You got to ignore it. I don't care what you got to do, but you got to push it out. And I'll go to the Lord. I'll say, Lord, what? Lord, please take this from me. Take this yuck from me right now. Take this. I know what the enemy's doing. Take this festering. I don't want to fester on this. I'm not going to think about it. Lord, take this right now. Take it, take it, take it. You know, if it becomes a burden, Lord, take this burden. I don't even know it, but take it now. I got to get all this off, Lord. We can't carry them because you have to understand, we cannot fight that. We can't. But what we can do, we can give it to him, and he can fight for us. But see, people don't do this, okay? And these are how so many things escalate. It's from that festering that we do. We fester. You know, I will tell you, I'll be talking away like I'm having a, because I'm reliving it. What I would have said had I had to do it again, I would have resaid this and said that. I mean, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And whatever those trigger points are that get you, we all have a trigger. We all have something that takes us back to that place or takes us to that place. It's a trigger point. You got to stop it. You got to stop, stop, stop. You know, I explain it this way. Every day you get up, okay, the enemy, he does a roll call too. And all those evil demons, all his counterfeit spirits, okay, whoever has been assigned to you, you know, watching you, they're all called up, okay? And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Here goes the whisper, here goes this, and Satan's like, okay, watch, okay? She does this every time. He does this every time. He's going to go for it. We're going to start festering. We're going to make sure this pulls up. This. Sometimes if we have no open doors, you understand that? If we children have no open doors, guess what? They're going to come through. She's going to try to come through doors of our children, because you know our kids, right? And so he gonna come through the doors, open doors of our children. That's why we had this big family, okay? But every day, okay, it's like, here's like a line, like a starting line for a race, right? And he's like, well, just get ready, okay? Get on your mark and get ready for the get set, because they do it. She does it every day. I mean, she falls for it all the time. So watch, just get her going, because here it goes. It's going to come out. It's going to do it. Yeah, she did it. Go, get ready, and oh, they're in every day, because the enemy cannot use anything new. There's nothing new under the sun, so he has to use the same exact tactics, same exact everything since the beginning. Okay, understand this and know this. There's nothing new under the sun, so he uses the same things. So you have to adjust your sight and adjust your hearing and adjust your spirit to know what he's doing. And sometimes it's really hard to not, you know, jump in the wrestling ring over there, okay? Sometimes you just want to put them wrestling clothes on and get in there, and yeah, I know. But know what that does? Then that just opens doors, okay? And that's what affects our lives every day. That's what we battle. And it defeats us, just drains us, you know? It's like it's the gerbil wheel, it's the treadmill where we just can't get anywhere, and then we get depressed. That's where people get depressed, they get defeated, and I don't understand why this is happening. You know, God doesn't love me, and he doesn't care about me, and you know, I do everything for him, and he's not even caring. That's what happens. That's what happens. So, and we all do it. It happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. Know these open doors, okay? And know when you fall for it. So, you have to use your tools every day. A big tool, a very huge tool, is every single day you have to ask the Lord to walk before you. Lord, walk ahead of me. today. Clear my path today, Lord. And get all of the dirt. I don't even care if there's a slight, light layer of dust on my sidewalk that I'm walking today. You know, get that. And if there's any wads of bubble gum, could you get all of them up so my foot's not stuck to them as I'm walking them down today? Lord, please walk ahead of me. Clear it. Lord, please soften the hearts, and put your spirit upon all those I have to deal with today. You know, remove anyone who who has that cold heart, who has ill thoughts against me, or wants to do damage. You know, whatever it is, but ask Him, you know, to walk ahead of you, and pray that we don't run ahead of Him. That's a huge tool, okay? That's a huge tool. And if you know, Taylor, so we went through some stuff with him, right? It's just an immaturity, but a couple of years ago, Taylor was going through a legal thing. And I had prayed, you know, the Lord to, for weeks in advance, I'd prayed this, you know. I'd say, Lord, I need you to go ahead of me, and I need you to soften the heart of the judge and all of the, you know, in the state's attorney's office who are doing this. Let them, uh, let whatever the judgment is, let it be right. You know, don't let it be extensive, and let them do it just because they can. Let the punishment fit the crime, you know, but soften it, because we all know how Taylor is, you know, and he's just like a child. But this is what I would do, you know, and I would just pray ahead that the Lord would walk ahead of me and soften and take care of that. And you know, I told you, the day we get there in court, you know, nobody even knows why he's there. They can't find his file. Um, it was just so supernatural, I can't even tell you. So, but this is what I do with everything. Um, and you have to do that, okay? And this is huge. This is a huge open door right here. You have to fight in the spirit and not in the flesh, okay? Again, this is words. Words. Somebody says something, and we spit it back, okay? And see, remember, he can't read our thoughts, but once he gets us going, it's what's coming out of it. And especially if we're arguing with our, you know, a family member, or our children, or a lot of times it's at holidays when we're around family members who don't believe as we do. You know, they think we're all Jesus freaks and we've just, you know, crossed to the other side. And we all know how that is when we try to talk to them, or even at family functions. There just seems to be explosions, you know. I always pray ahead. Lord, you know what we're walking into, Lord. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, please, I need you to work on all the hearts before I even go in there. You pray before you go, and He just sets the atmosphere, gets it all ahead of you. And again, you have to change your routine. All of it. You have to change your routine. First of all, you know, when we walk into these circumstances, how many times have you walked in there and the same thing has happened over and over and over and over? The same outcome, same everything. Okay, so why don't we know that? So know that going in. Don't do it. Don't go there. Don't let them goat you. Don't go. Don't go there. Don't do it, because again, the enemy wants that, and he, in his counterfeit spirits, has sent out and prepared for just the opposite. You know, he knows this argument or this fight or these words or this, you know, friction happens every time, and he just gets so excited, right? So he's got it all set up. What's going to happen again? Well, first of all, we have to be aware of this and know. So don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. But it's the flesh. You understand? This is the enemy, right? You have to learn to find the spirit. Don't let them goat you. Because, again, um, just say people argue. And you got one that's always, I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police. Okay. See, when we react, okay, in our flesh and make that phone call and do it, well, that's what the enemy wants you to do. Okay. Because, see, then the events that are, that path that's taken, the enemy has all his people aligned because it's money, it's you know that it's a whole thing, right? But sometimes people jump before they let the Lord work this out. Okay, I mean, I'm not saying don't call the police if somebody's really, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of silliness, okay? Just silliness, and people just, they react and they just do, you know, unnecessary things, okay? Um, let the Lord get, pray immediately. Let Him come in and take this, okay? Or wait on Him before you jump, because remember, your flesh always wants to react. It always, that reaction in the, when you do that in the flesh, it's the enemy, and that's what he wants you to do. Okay, learn to fight and react in the spirit. Give it to the Lord. I'm not saying if somebody's hurting you or, um, you, I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about. I mean, there's just sometimes just unnecessary things, and then they escalate and it tears apart lives. And that's exactly what the enemy does. Okay, so learn to work it in the spirit instead of the flesh. It's hurt too. I mean, hurt. It's always in that flesh. It's always to get back, and a lot of it is verbal. Okay, a lot of it is verbal. We want to react to what somebody says or what somebody does, and don't, don't do it. Don't do it. Whatever. When you first have that initial oomph to do it, stop it right there, because that's your flesh. These are all doors, okay, and they affect your life. They really, really do. They affect your life, and it's a legal right. It's a legal footing, okay, that the Lord, our God Father, he has to allow it, if you're not closing these doors, and if you're not saying this way, I'm telling you, the Lord said, when you do it, immediately, right then and there, give it to me. Ask for forgiveness. Do it. Don't sit on it and wait. Right then and there, get that door closed. Okay? But learn how the enemy goats you. Learn how he goats you. So these are just things that, especially now, that we have to know. And where did I start at now? I was starting at learning all of this. Okay? Learning all of this. The Lord makes us experience just about everything, especially if we've judged somebody. Okay, you always have to feel what you put out. But he makes us go through these things. It's that refining that vessel. Okay, if we think that we know just who he is, or we think we know what it is he's, when we start to become the judge, okay, and condemn other people for what we think, okay, is wrong, that they're saying or doing or teaching, that they're learning, okay, but it's different, and okay, he's going to make you, he's going to at some point make you see it, okay, and make you experience it. Why I say this is, from the beginning of the video where I started, I'm just like you guys. Same thing. Okay. Um, but then as I got older, I was still had many kids. I mean, I always loved God, but I had a foot in the world too, right? It's before I became a full-fledged Jesus freak. Okay, it's before I became a everyday, all day, right? Um, and you're in the world, and we all were there. But he, I used to always have this dream from the time I was little till it's probably my early 20s, maybe mid 20s. Seems like 1,000 years ago, but I was always, it was nighttime, and behind me was a burning city. There was buildings on fire, and we were out, like miles, a couple miles out, and there was a huge tree, and I was always standing by this tree, and there was a group of, I don't know, maybe 7 or 10 people, and we all had, like, dirt on our face or soot on our face, and I mean, we've been through something, but I was always standing by that tree, and they were sitting and rusting, and I was like, uh, um, somebody like was cussing God, right? They were mad and they were cussing. I'm like, oh no, don't cussing, don't say anything, don't, no, 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 thank him for this. I mean, this is sometime I was small on, and I'd have the exact same dream, and I'd say, thank him for this. No, no, thank him. And I'd say, don't look back. Just keep going forward. Don't look back. Don't look back at that. Don't look back. Don't cuss God and don't look back. And that's late. I mean, dark. I had this dream all the time. Then one day, it was after I totally became saved. I never had that dream again. Never had that dream again. Now I totally know what that dream was. I had no idea my whole life what that dream was. I just always had that inner kind of, I had that faith, um, that I was just like, I just knew God had my back. I did. I knew God had my back. And that's why it was so hard. That was why it was so hard when my life completely, absolutely deteriorated and everything that I knew was gone. Everything. Everything. I became completely destitute, injured, crippled, um, uh, hungry. I mean, everything. I'd never experienced any of that. I'd never experienced loss in my life. I had never experienced any any of that. I mean, my grandmother died, but I mean, no, none of that hurt like that and loss. I really truly never had. And then to have so much happen within such a short time, and so much loss, and so I couldn't catch my breath. I could not catch my breath. I could not understand why. I could not understand why any of it was happened. Oh, I had a gazillion open doors, and I was with with a person who was turning me and pulling me more away. Okay, and God, it was a timing thing too, and He was like, "No, well, times I need you now. We're gonna have to just flip this 45 over, and we're just gonna have to start getting down here now. And sorry about you, but this is what's gonna happen now, okay?" And whoo, did it happen? But I couldn't understand it. My hedge of protection was down when I lost my son. I couldn't that that day he died. I knew that was God calling me and absolutely bringing me down to the I mean, peeled me. But I knew that I knew that day. I knew it. And ever since that day, I said, God loves me so much that He took my son to give me His. And I knew that God had lost His son in the most horrific way. I mean, oh, how horrible. I knew that God, above anybody, He knew exactly what I was feeling. And I knew how much He loved me. And so for this to be allowed to happen, it must it had to be for the greater cause, the grander, it had to be for the bigger picture. And I knew that. And I knew that. Even though I was so heartbroken, I cried, nonstop, nonstop, every day, all day for 2 years. I couldn't talk on the phone, I mean, nothing. So I was still going to, you know what I mean? It went way to God. I had to get that out. I was a mother without her child. And I was always that mom that said, oh, please, oh, if you think you're having my kids, you're going to have to bury me with them. I just couldn't survive that, right? And I had never experienced loss. I'm 77 nieces and nephews, and nobody even has allergies or nothing. And then, you know, I'm the baby, right? I'm the baby of the family, but I'm the peacemaker of our family. I get along with everybody. I'm the one that everybody comes to. We'd come to their house. I fed everybody. I clothed them. I mean, I give them money. I build them house. I do everything for them, and I wouldn't even think about it because it was my family. But it was even strangers too. But I mean, me, you're gonna do that to me? Really? To me? What? It makes you very confused. Now, how many people do you know that's lost children and they've turned from God because they blame him? He took my child. But I knew I had to run to him because my hedge of protection was down. My hedge of protection was down, and I had to get it back up because I had 2 other children. I had to get it back up. Boy, I fear God. I feared him then, and I fear him now. I fear him so much. I love him above everything, but I have that fear of God in me, you know. And every day when I pray and I say, Lord, please, I know what you're showing, Lord. I know what you're showing. I know what you've given. I mean, this gift is what a blessing. It is so huge, and I'm in such awe of it. I said, Lord, but I'm, it, it's getting deep now, so deep, and it's hard to explain. It is so hard to explain this. I mean, it is so hard. Okay. uh, and I'm like, Lord, I just need you to take me right now. Please, Lord, just take me right now, Lord. If I, Lord, am so off the mark, if I am not, if it is not you that is, we just go through all of this, right? I said, Lord, just take me home right now. Instead of one more minute that would harm anybody, that would, um, you know, take somebody away from you, that would not bring anybody closer to you, that if I'm harming um, anything for your kingdom, just take me right now, Lord, right this moment. Don't let me live another minute. Don't let me live another moment. Don't let me live another day. You just take me right now, Lord. I was telling that. And I mean it with all my heart. All my heart. This, what he's showing, I mean, it's so big. It's so hard to explain. It is so hard to explain. I remember, I used to watch, Perry Stone. Perry just, I learned so much uh, early on, 2005, 2006, 7. I listened to Perry and just about Israel, just the history. I mean, just even the Old Testament. But I mean, really listen, and I learned so much about Israel through him. And it was a huge teacher to me listening to Perry Stone. And learned a lot. And I would have certain people that I would go that I got, you know, and I would listen to them all the time, all the time, all the time. And then there was like certain people that we, you know, I found, like I again, like I found on YouTube. And then I listened to them, and then all of a sudden they get to a point where I was like, well, I don't even know what they're saying now. Oh, they just got way too deep for me. Oh, I don't even know. I'm lost now. It's got way. I don't even know what they're saying. Well, I mean, I kind of get a little bit of it, but I really don't. I mean, they've just gone off the reservation. Listen, I'm saying this, okay? Because I know that's what you guys are saying about me. Oh, Mary Beth, it's because the layers. I so understand it. You know, I never thought I'd be one of them. That's the kicker of this whole thing. Never. All right? Never. And I remember thinking, I mean, wow. Wow. What? Wow. Then I get it, you know, but I mean, boy, it was like, whoo. And I understand it now, you guys, because when he starts, okay, it opens these layers up, and he gives you the sight. I can't explain it, and this, I cannot explain it to you. You see things completely. I mean, you see them like you've seen them, but but there's all these layers now that is opened up. All right, and he makes you learn. He makes you learn things that other people probably wouldn't bother with, or don't think it's important, or um, it may not see it as the Lord has shown it to you, and the importance of it, okay? And these divine breadcrumbs that are so important, and that you recognize what his heavenly breadcrumbs are that he's leaving, okay? Um, but for the past, you know how we all read things, watch things, do things. He had me, um, you know, study things, and I was just reading them for, you know, and maybe at the time I didn't think anything about it, right? Maybe I didn't, it was kind of really deep or really whatever, and I got, you know, what I needed to get at that time. I got that layer of it, you know. Um, but what's so funny is, you know, in this past year now, I'll remember those, and I'm like, that's what that is. They'll pop back into me. Something maybe 8 years ago, he showed me, or he sent me to, right? But I'm not understanding the depth and the true uh, purpose, or meaning of that until right now. And when then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember that. I remember I read that, or I remember learning that or that. You never probably even thought about it again, but all of a sudden now you understand it, and now you get it. And that's what happens. I cannot explain to you guys how he illuminates things. And I was just like you. I remember watching some that I would love, and then all of a sudden I was like, where are they going? Wow. And I would understand then what they were, you know, what they were getting, but it was like, how did they even see that? Because that's what he does. That's what he does. And that's where it's at. I I'm totally not off the reservation, I'm telling you. It's just the layers upon layers upon layers that he has opened up. Okay? And that's what it is. And it's very um it's exhausting. I will tell you this. It's exhausting. because every day from morning till night, and I'm thinking, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it, Lord. I'm not doing it. There's nothing more I can say. There's nothing more I can do, and they're not going to understand what, what I know that you're showing. And it's not only me. I mean, because he always confirms. There's people around the world. It's the same thing. But I'm like, Lord, I'm done. I can't, I'm not doing anymore because it's not going to do any good. It's not going to make any difference because they're not going to get it. I mean, not that you guys weren't, because I'm just unable to explain it, um, and do it justice. Okay. Because I'm telling you, every day, I just, I cried because I just about fall off on the floor because I cannot believe that he has just shown this. There's no, you have to, you have to you have to be in that person's shoes, okay, to understand that and to see how it goes, because it's every day, all day. um and it's not easy. I mean, it's not. Who would want this? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love, and I love being close, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for this blessing of that. But it's also very, um isolating. Okay, it isolates you. It does. It isolates you because once he shows you something, and and then you see it, and you're on that track, and then you go to the next steps of it, and it opens more and more, and you see how this all fits, and you just can't believe it, but you see how all this fits, and you just, it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard, and it's exhausting. I'll tell you that. It's exhausting. You know, I cried yesterday from the time I got up till the time I went to bed last night. I cried myself to sleep like a 2-year old. You know, I'm just crying out to the Lord. I'm just crying and bawling my eyes out. You know, because I can't, I can't get it out what I want to say, how it is. I know that it's hard to, um, when we have been taught something, okay, a certain way, it's very hard to change that thought process, because this is God we're dealing with, okay? I mean, whoo, you know, if you're wrong there, woo, it's a very scary thing, very scary thing. But people, the enemy has had the Lord, the Lord's words, okay, God's words, mm, in His possession here on earth for a very long time, right? From the get go. From the get go, okay, the enemy has had his hands, okay, in the mix. And he has put his, um, people, okay, in the churches, in everything. And it has, he has, sitting at the table, and the Bible was canonized. I spoke about this. How many people at that table do you think the enemy controlled? Hmm? The majority, probably. But God had to allow it. That's the thing is, God had to allow it. But see, you have to get, God allow it, because God's be like, oh, but at the end, Just watch. Whatever you do, go ahead. It don't matter. Because watch my faithful children. They will know, despite, you know, what you're doing. They will overcome and stand for me and in me in the end, you know, regardless of what you're going to take out. Okay? Whatever you're going to remove that you think you're so sneaky in doing, and you're going to um, mislead in the teaching of my word, okay, throughout the world, right? God had to allow that. But see, God loves the end story. He loves the end result because we win and he wins. And despite all the enemy's hard work at trying to fool the children of God, okay, that at the end we're standing strong in spite of what he has done. And that is why the Lord would allow it, okay, because the glory that he will receive in the end. All right, so it's he loves that those overcomers. He does. It's a faith thing. I'm telling you, it is a faith thing. So there is I I think about the things that come out of my mouth. Not I mean not bad things, but I mean certain people that I've watched videos of, and they believe this or they've said that and whatever, and I was like, oh well, that's not right. I can't. That's not right. That's not blah blah blah. You know, and I'm, you know, what they saw. Why would I dare judge them? Who was I to say anything? Okay, because I will tell you this: what he gives us, okay, again, it's about prayer. It's about what we ask for, okay? Our prayers hold so much. Until I pray the exact same prayers that the other people do, unless I say the exact same words, everything to the T, until I walk in their shoes, I don't have a right to say anything. Not one thing. Because we don't know. You don't know. Look, I didn't know, okay? And I'm telling you, the same thing is happening because it's the layers that he is exposing, okay? So whatever we think that we know for sure, and that's our we know that is not what, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Because he's going to show you. He's just going to show you. He really is. So, but the teaching, what he opens up is the layers. It is, it's in the Bible, is when he says, those who have ears, hear, you know, what I'm saying. It's that, it's that in the clause there, you know, that special little bit like, have those that have ears hear what these words are saying. You know, it's that underlying mystery thing, right? And that's what it is. It's what I'm telling you. That's what it is. And unless you have the ears or the sight to hear it, you won't, and you won't get it. Okay? You will not get it. You won't. Don't judge. I'm telling you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because, and see, I know my prayers. I know my prayers. Okay? I didn't sure think he'd give me all this. I really didn't. But he did. But you guys, I'm exactly like you. He's just got some really deep layers here going. It really does. And if I could just figure that doggone calendar out, because again, it's right there, right there. And what we Gentiles, Christians, what we don't understand is that you have to, those Hebrew dates, those are big. I mean, they hold the patterns. They hold God's patterns. Okay, you have to learn them, or the nothing. The days won't mean anything to you. Okay, unless you know those. You really won't. And this time again, it's about it's about God gave His word to the people. Okay, it's them accepting Him. All right, and His laws, and um, it has big time to do with Moses, Aaron, and even Miriam, the sister. She her it has a lot to do with her too. You just have to study and read it. I don't know what to say. This video is very long. I'm going to cut this off and do another one really quick. Love you. See you soon.